This channel covers all things tech, faith, lifestyle, and careers. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to manage imposter syndrome. This is a really hot topic, and I'm so glad that there are more conversations about mental health now, especially with everything that happened in 2020. I'm glad that it's exposing the realness of mental health and anxiety and depression and pulling back those layers. And I'm so glad there's more articles and people having conversations about this. So what is imposter syndrome? So imposter syndrome is basically guilt and fear and feeling like you're not worthy of the accomplishments and the things that you have obtained and that you've earned. And you feel kind of like a fraud. And sometimes you feel incompetent, that you can't do the work that's in front of you, or you feel guilty for it. And so I pulled a definition from Wikipedia. And the definition from Wikipedia for imposter syndrome says, individuals that doubt their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud despite external evidence of their competence. And those experiencing this phenomenon remain convinced that they are frauds and they do not deserve all that they have achieved. I am going to link the statistics in this definition in the description box if you want to do a read. I'm also going to link an article that talks about why imposter syndrome is so big, especially in the Black community. But another statistic that I wanted to share was, according to the American Psychological Association, up to 82% of people face imposter syndrome. They're struggling with the idea that they have not earned what they achieved. That's super heavy. That's intense. And some of the symptoms of imposter syndrome are anxiety, depression, stress, worry. Girl and guys, let me tell you, it's real out here. I have experienced it, especially last week. Last week at work was super, super hard. And I really hope that anybody that is watching this video, that you feel encouraged, that you're not alone, and that everybody deals with imposter syndrome, even me. And it doesn't matter if you're somebody that is trying to get into the tech field or whatever industry that you're interested in. I myself, even as an experienced techie, I still struggle with imposter syndrome. And I want to let you know that it does not go away. There's not a cure for it. But this video is to share tips on how you can manage it, because everybody experiences it, even celebrities, presidents, everybody. So why is it so common? I think it's common because you think about everything that you had to overcome, especially for people of color. And you think about everything that you had to overcome just to be in this present moment, and all of the odds and barriers that you had to fight just to get through the door, to get the interview, to get the job. And you think about the barriers that you had to fight with your skin color, your gender, your socioeconomic status. It can make us feel unworthy of the opportunities or hinder us from even trying. And I think that's why it's so common, is because you think about everything that you've been through just to get through the door. And I think it's also common in the tech space because, you know, sometimes you feel like you're not qualified for the jobs that you applied for, or you're worried that you can't keep the job, or they're going to find you out that you're not as skilled as they deem you to be. And guess what? It's okay. You're human. That's the good news, is that you're human, and everybody experiences this. And I'm hoping that when you watch this video that you feel a sense of hope, because I'm going to go into the tips. And before I go into the tips, I want to talk about how I experienced it. So when I graduated college back in 2012, there was a lot of jobs. There was a lot of developer jobs and roles that I wanted to apply for. The desire was there. I wanted to apply to, but I did not, because I was fearful and I didn't think that I was skilled enough. And I was looking at the job description and it had like 100 things on the list, and I only had maybe like 20 of those things, maybe even less than that. And a lot of them I just would not apply to. I remember my advisor and my mentor in college was like, hey, you know, X such and such company is coming to campus to recruit. You should really apply or look into it. And I never did because I didn't think I was qualified or if I was smart enough. So I want to encourage people that don't let your emotions make decisions for you. You can manage your emotions. And the reason I feel like I experienced a lot is because I thought about how much I struggled in college, how I struggled in my programming classes at first, how I struggled with mathematics. And I was able to overcome those barriers because I retook those courses, obviously with better professors, where I felt like I understood the material a lot better. But I thought because I didn't have a 4.0 GPA, I graduated with a 2.6, I was still able to get the same interviews as people that had 4.0 GPAs. But I felt unworthy sometimes because I felt like they've got the 4.0 GPA, they've got the perfect resume, and we're here sitting in the same room waiting to do the same interview. So there's a lot of times where I felt like a fraud and I felt like I wasn't worthy to be there because I didn't have the same GPA or credentials as some of the other students that I was competing with for full-time jobs. However, I had to overcome that and, get in my prayer closet. And I don't know about you, but I am a believer. And I had to get in my prayer closet and I had to huddle with community and with my parents and people that loved me to encourage me to go after those jobs. And it was a complete change for me. So that's kind of how I experienced it. I did experience racism in the interview process and bias, but I want to get into how you can manage it. So imposter syndrome, and I'm going to say this again, it doesn't go away, but there's ways that you can manage it. And that's the good news. So the first thing I want to talk about is get your feelings out of it. Get your feelings out. So as soon as you have those thoughts of imposter syndrome and they start to come over you, is journal or talk to a trusted friend in that present moment. If it's somebody you can text really quick, if you don't have a trusted friend or colleague that you can talk to, then I would also suggest looking into therapy, which could be really amazing outlet, or find some sort of creative outlet. If you paint, if you write, you rap, or whatever, is get your feelings out. It's not healthy to hold things in. The next tip is be self-aware. Have strategies to help you deal with those negative emotions. Knowing and just know that when you have those emotions of imposter syndrome, that panic and that fear, is that your feelings are absolutely valid, but sometimes you can't always trust your emotions. So your emotions may be what you feel is definitely real, but that does not mean that it's facts, and it does not necessarily mean that that is the present reality. So definitely make sure that you have strategies to become more self-aware and say, okay, you know what? I'm tripping. Maybe I'm overly sensitive today, or you know what? Maybe I just need to step away and take a break, or maybe I need to go outside and take a walk. It's those sorts of things. The next tip I want to talk about is challenge negative thoughts with facts. And this is something that a mentor has told me in the past, is keep records of all of your successes and small wins. It doesn't matter how big or small. It doesn't have to be super dramatic for it to be considered a win. But it's really good because when you have those really, really bad days, you can have a small list of you know what? I'm having issues problem solving this issue, but you know what? I remember at this time I was able to overcome it with this. You know what? I was a part of this project and I was leading this, but I remember when I was given this assignment, I knocked it out the park. So sometimes you have to remember and reflect on all of the positive wins that you had to get you through the negative. So it's kind of like challenging negative thoughts with facts. Be like, this is how I feel, but that's not truth. The next thing I want to talk about is develop healthy thinking. It's good to develop healthy thinking because, you know what? I got knocked down today, but tomorrow's another day. You know what? I got some not so great feedback, but you know what? I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to be the rock star, or I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to do better. Don't receive the information, but don't let it process and don't water the plant where it becomes paralyzing, where you feel like you can't move forward or you're scared to get feedback in the future. Just take it with a grain of salt, extract what you need, and then move on. The next thing I want to talk about is accept that you're not perfect and you never will. No one is. And this is something that I really struggle with and that I'm definitely going to go to therapy for, is perfectionism. Like, even a small feedback or, no one's perfect. I would be like, oh my God, someone told me that I should have written code this way, and I took it as a personal attack. Like, oh, they're trying to say I'm not a good coder, or I don't do this right, or this. No. That's not what they were saying. They were just saying this is a more efficient way of how to handle this, and this is how this should be done. So you accept that you're not perfect, but that you're progressing. You want to have a progressive mindset. Nobody is perfect. I'm not perfect. And this is something that I'm learning. I had a complete mental breakdown like 3 or 4 months ago because of this. And it was because I talked about it with a really close friend of mine. I mean, I was crying. It was a whole mess, girl. And one of the things that she told me is that, we put so much pressure on ourselves, and we put so much pressure, and we create these false realities that are not even really reality. And so you have to step back and be like, I'm not perfect, I'm progressing. And that takes so much off of your chest. And there's so much freedom and acceptance, because I would always base my value when I was a new developer based off of my performance. I would think, oh, I'm only valuable if I perform well. And then I would take that really bad ideology and implement that in my life. Be like, oh, well, I did X, Y, and Z, so I'm doing really great. So I don't want people to confuse acceptance with performance. And that there's going to be really great days that you do amazing. And there's going to be some days where you like, I'm just getting by. I'm doing okay. And that's all that matters. All that matters is that you're progressing. I might have spent too much time on that one. The next one I want to talk about is visualize your goals. I'm a huge person that lives and breathes by affirmations. I have a lot of quotes in Bible scriptures that I put in my mirror. I put a lot of affirmations on my desk, on my monitors, so that when I have really, really bad days, or I'm trudging along and I'm trying to solve something that's super, super hard and I have to figure it out in a limited time frame, I will look at those affirmations. I will look at those Bible scriptures and remind myself. And it's really, really healthy for me. And I want to encourage you that if that's not necessarily your style, maybe it's an app or looking in the mirror and writing down several things positively about yourself, 3 things that you love about yourself that you did do right, something like that. Is just make it visual, and that is something that you can see every day, so that when the imposter syndrome and the fear set in, you can combat it with that. The last tip is learn to encourage yourself. So sometimes I struggle with this too, is learning to break free. It's okay to seek, validation or feedback, but when you seek validation and feedback, it can be kind of toxic when it becomes a part of you where you need it to move forward. I think the best confidence, and I'm learning this in my early 30s, is that the best confidence is when you can move, whether people rock with you or they don't rock with you. That is the best confidence. So learn to encourage yourself. Like, learn to toot your own horn and pat yourself on the back. It'll bless your life. It will bless your life. Like, no matter how big or small your wins are, it's always good to learn to encourage yourself and not look for people to do that, because people will flip-flop on you. So learn that. But these are some of the tips that I think be super helpful in how to manage imposter syndrome. I'm going to link the article that I used, and I also injected, obviously, some of my personal experiences. I'm going to link it all in the description box below. But if you guys thought this was super helpful, I really hope that it helps someone that struggles with this. No matter your age, race, or whatever, let me know. And I will see you guys in the next